Something we all expected has now been made official. The Bedlam series between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in football is now officially over. What are my thoughts on it? What are Mike Gundy's thoughts on it? Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome in to another edition of Coos' Corner. Pull up that chair, pull up a bar stool, find a corner booth, whatever makes you feel comfortable, and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football knowledge. That's right, folks. The Bedlam rivalry between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma is officially over. Before I get into that, I want to ask you real quick, please, to like this video if you don't mind. Also, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I'm trying to get to that 5,000 subscriber number by the end of the year. Please share this out with all of your college sports loving friends. And last but not least, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the end of this long-standing rivalry. Now, let's get on with the show. According to a report by Brett McMurphy from the Action Network, the Bedlam series is officially over. I'm going to share this report with you and talk about it real quick. Then I'll give you my thoughts on what this means for both teams, and I'll give you my opinion on it. According to McMurphy's article in the Action Network, conference realignment has claimed yet another victim. This time it's the annual Bedlam series between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Both of the schools' athletic directors told Action Network the series will end once Oklahoma leaves the Big 12 for the SEC in 2025. Goes on down to give quotes from each athletic director. First, the athletic director, Chad Weiberg from Oklahoma State, says this, and I quote, "It, playing Oklahoma, presents logistical issues under our current scheduling concerns. We don't have any openings to play them. We're full. Unless there are significant undertakings to make the game happen, it can't happen." Now, Joe Castiglione, the AD at Oklahoma, says the following. Oklahoma State has shown no interest to schedule any future games in football, so we're moving on. Now, so Joe Castiglione seems to be laying the blame at Oklahoma's feet on this, saying they're the ones who aren't interested in playing the game. The article goes on to say, Castiglione also admitted the Sooners have limited availability for Oklahoma State on their future non-conference schedules. The biggest reason is both schools have similar scheduling philosophies. Oklahoma State is expected to continue with a 9-game Big 12 schedule, and the expectation is the SEC will have a 9-game conference schedule when OU and Texas join the league in 2025. That leaves only 3 non-conference openings per season. OU and OSU each schedule a Power 5 non-conference opponent and fill their final 2 spots with either 2 Group of 5 opponents or a Group of 5 and an FCS opponent. Both ADs said their school's non-conference Power 5 openings are nearly completed for the next 15 years. So that means that neither of these schools, more than likely, that these schools will not be able to play each other for at least 15 years because their schedules are apparently done up until that point. And that's not uncommon. College football teams make their schedules many years in advance. So this is not a surprise, and I think we all saw this coming. Now, what does this mean for each school? Well, first of all, for those of you who might say, hey, Coos, you're a West Virginia fan. Why are you even qualified to be talking about this? As a West Virginia fan, it makes me qualified, in my opinion, because West Virginia has been through this. When the Big East imploded back in 2010, 2011, and we ended up being forced to move to the Big 12, before we did that, we lost our rivalries of Pitt, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Syracuse, all those teams we played for years, especially Pitt and Virginia Tech, Pitt being the big one. Our rivalries were taken away from us by no control of our own, at least for the near future. Now, they have made efforts now recently to try to get these games back on the schedule, and I commend both athletic departments or all athletic departments involved for doing that. However, for several years, fans did not get to see these games because of conference realignment. So I know what it feels like to lose your rival game. So for both fan bases who are going to miss this game, I feel for you because I know what you mean. Now, that being said, I feel like it's probably going to impact Oklahoma State's fan base more so than Oklahoma's because let's face it, Oklahoma's going to be playing an SEC schedule. They consider their biggest rival to be Texas. And Texas will be in their conference, so they'll still get to play Texas, maybe even every season. They will also be able to get games against Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M, all of these big name schools that are in the SEC, Oklahoma will get to play now. And Oklahoma State will be, I don't want to use the word stuck because I'm a Big 12 guy and I feel like there's some quality teams in the Big 12, but if you look at their schedule, it's not going to be as attractive to many in the nation as Oklahoma State's, who's going to be playing the West Virginias, the TCUs, the Kansas States, the Texas Techs, the Baylors, the Cincinnatis, the Houstons, so on and so forth. So therefore, I think this is going to be a bigger impact on Oklahoma State than it is Oklahoma. And let's face it, Oklahoma's probably still going to sell their stadium out because they're Oklahoma and they got all these good teams coming in, all these high-name, big-name, blue blood teams coming in, right? Oklahoma State, even though their fans are loyal, they're one of the most loyal fan bases in the country, definitely in the Big 12, the new Big 12, but they don't stack up to Oklahoma fans. And they don't draw the same attention as Oklahoma fans. So they may have a harder time filling their stadium and getting eyeballs on their TV screen without Oklahoma. Let's face it. It's all of us Big 12 schools are going to face that challenge now that Texas and Oklahoma are gone. But I think it's even more to Oklahoma State because that was a game their fan base looked forward to every single year. It was their opportunity to prove that they could compete with Oklahoma as the in-state team, as the big dog, right? But the Oklahoma, when you look at them, like I said, not only do they get to play these SEC teams, but the record in this rivalry is really one-sided. Oklahoma leads the series 90-19-7. They've won 90 of the 116 games in the series. That's a pretty one-sided rivalry, if you ask me. So I don't think Oklahoma will miss this game near as much as Oklahoma State. And that's coming from a Big 12 fan now, okay? Now, what makes this story even more interesting is what Mike Gundy had to say about it. When you look at Mike Gundy's comments, and I'll share those with you as well, I want you to hear this. Then I'll give my take. This is a tweet from Gabrielle Trevino, who covers Oklahoma State.
Okay. OU's officials were in negotiations with the SEC for months and months before anybody in this league or the conference knew about it. No objections? During those multi-billion-dollar conversations, I wonder if Bedlam was ever brought up at that point instead of the money. Okay. Bedlam is history. We all know that. We've known that because OU chose to follow Texas and the money to the SEC. It's okay. Is that a fact? So now we're having what I think are childish discussions, in my opinion, okay, over something that's done. And I would like to make this the last statement I have because I have no hard feelings, but what's going on now is almost a situation with a husband and a wife or a girlfriend and a boyfriend. When you know you're dead wrong and you try to turn the table and make them think they're wrong. When Oklahoma State has no part in this. We didn't have anything to do with their negotiations with the SEC. We didn't have any choice on choosing to leave the conference. They did. So everybody needs to get over it and move on and quit trying to turn the tables. It's somewhat comical that they still want to bring us into this equation. I want somebody here to give me one example of what Oklahoma State had to do with this. I'm listening, really, and this is I'm not the head coach. I'm just a guy on the street. I just want somebody to tell me what one thing that myself, Chad Weiber, or Dr. Schrum, or our regions had to do with any of this going on. So let's not turn the tables. Let's just say, hey, look, we chose to follow Texas and take the money. And we're going to the SEC. It's all good. And let's quit talking about it. Let's talk about football. That's the way I feel. No hard feelings. And I like Joe C, but it is what it is, right? We got to quit beating around the bush and call it the way it is.
So there you have it. That's what Mike Gundy had to say. Now, for anybody who's watched a lot of my videos, especially going back to early on when I started doing this about a year ago, you know how much respect and admiration I have for Mike Gundy. He's probably my favorite head coach in all of college football, okay? I admire what the man has done at Oklahoma State. I think he's extremely underrated in his success there. It's not easy to recruit to Oklahoma State. He has to compete with Oklahoma and Texas every year for recruits, but yet he's been able to win consistently, and I think he's one of the top 10 winningest head coaches in the last decade, if I'm not mistaken, in all of college football. And he's done it over an extended period of time. So I have great admiration for him, and I also admire the fact that he's typically not afraid to speak his mind. But here, I got to be honest. I think Mike Gundy is being a little bit whiny. I'm not going to lie. Oklahoma State fans, you're going to get mad at me for this, and that's okay. Most of you know me, know that I try to be really objective in my opinions here, and I think right here, Mike Gundy is just whiny and wrong. Well, I don't want to say wrong. He's not wrong in his opinion. Yes, it was Oklahoma's choice to leave for the SEC. But it appears to me like Mike Gundy's got a little bit of sour grapes about it, number one. And number two, for him to say Oklahoma State keeps getting drug into this, if Joe Castiglione is telling the truth here and Oklahoma State has shown no effort, that means they've not even tried to get Oklahoma on the schedule past that 15-year mark. And if that's true, then yes, they do have they do have something to do with it, Mike. And two, I guarantee you, had Oklahoma State had the opportunity to go to the SEC, they would have went in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. So for him to have sour grapes about this whole thing, in my opinion, and the way he's handled this, the comments he made, I think it's just a little bit of sour grapes, a little bit of whining, and he's naive to say that Oklahoma State wouldn't do the same thing if they were in Oklahoma shoes, because I almost guarantee you they would. So, Mike, I don't like the way Mike Gundy answered that question. I think he should have taken the high road here and just said, look, this is above my pay grade. This is up to the ADs and the administration to handle. I'm a football coach. I'm here to coach football. That's the way he should have answered that question, in my opinion. I respect the fact he was honest, but I disagree with it. And this is one of those. We all love it when coaches are honest, and we complain when they give too much coach speak. But at the same time, there are times they need to give coach speak, or else they make themselves look a little bit foolish. And I think Mike Gundy kind of did that here. Doesn't take away the respect I have for him and the admiration I have for him for what he's done. But at the same time, Mike, I think you're out of bounds here, man. I think Oklahoma did what they had to do to go to the SEC to improve their financial status. I mean, like I said, they did anything any other program would have done had they had the opportunity. And if Oklahoma State and Oklahoma were in reverse roles here, Oklahoma State would have likely done the same thing. So anyway, that's my thoughts about the whole situation with Bedlam being over. So to summarize, I think it's a much bigger deal for Oklahoma State than it is Oklahoma. And I also think Mike Gundy showed a little bit of sour grapes in his comments about it. And I think he needs to just get he was telling other people to get over it. I think he also needs to get over it because he's still complaining about it. I mean, he even took the time to make notes about it on a piece of paper, as you could see there. So at the end of the day, Mike, that's the world we live in today, man. It was too much money for Oklahoma to say no to. They did what they felt was best for their program and their university. And Oklahoma State is tasked with doing the same thing, and they would have done it too. So with that being said, Couz's Corner family, I ask that you please let me know in the comment section what you think about the Bedlam series ending. What do you think about Mike Gundy's comments? Oklahoma Sooner fans, I want to hear from you. I also want to hear from Oklahoma State fans. And Oklahoma State fans, before you come at me that I'm hating on Mike Gundy, I'm not. I'm just giving my honest opinion about this one specific incident and this one specific interview he did that I feel he should have handled differently. I'll ask that if you want to support me financially, you can if you want to give a one-time donation, you can hit the super thanks button right under this video. It's a heart with a dollar sign in it. You can make a one-time, small or large, whatever you want to make to my channel. And then also leave a comment along with it that gets highlighted. You can become a member of my channel by hitting the join button right below. You can check out my merch store. The link will be at the top of the description box. All these things help me financially. If you want to support me for free, you can like, share, comment, and subscribe. With that being said, I really appreciate you tuning into this video. And until the next one, Q Country Roads.